Hola, coleguitas de Vinilandia. Yo soy Curro y hoy tenemos de nuevo contenido extra para el canal. Del otro lado de la llamada se encuentra Jordan, vocalista de la banda La Dispute, una de las mejores agrupaciones del género post-hardcore. Con motivo del lanzamiento de su último disco, No One Was Driving the Car, pudimos echar un rato de charla acerca de temas bastante profundos que abarcan desde la fe, esa falsa sensación de conexión en un mundo hiperconectado, el avance implacable de la tecnología y esa libertad de defender nuestros verdaderos sentimientos encima de un escenario. Y la verdad ha sido salvajemente gourmet. Así que por favor revisad vuestras opciones de doblaje y subtitulado porque la entrevista va a ser íntegramente en inglés. Así que, comenzamos.
Jordan, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. I've been a huge fan of your work for a long time, and for me,
Cool.
this is very special.
Hell yeah, for me too. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man.
Thank you, thank you. Well, just like the structure of your new record, I wanted to organize this conversation into three emotional blocks.
Cool.
Recurring feelings or sensations I've been run through. No one was driving the car. I hope I've captured them well.
I'm certain that you have. So yeah, I love it. I love a structure, obviously. So that's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, my first act would be about connection and isolation. So I dreamt of a room with all my friends and I could not get in. It really struck me. I feel it's like a nightmare we almost everyone had today we can all relate to. Are we becoming invisible in this hyper-connected world, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle a bit with how I internalize changes in technology. I'm like very aware that I have a tendency towards cynicism, and I don't necessarily want to be a person that looks at every new development in life as a net negative. I think that there's a period of transition when new things are introduced where we learn how to incorporate them in a healthy way. And I don't know that we're there, and I certainly am not on a personal level. I really struggle with how innovation and this sort of like belief in the benevolence of it has been pretty universally and unquestioningly accepted. And I think there are ways in which I disappear because it feels easier than ever to escape from not just complications on a macro scale, not just the you know incessant cycle of horrific news that we're all subjected to on a daily basis, but anything that causes stress or anxiety. And I think as we get more connected, we also have more opportunities to shut our brains off and to dumb ourselves down with what feels easy or pacifying or like a reprieve from the outside world. So yeah, I think that maybe that corrects and we figure out as we but maybe we reach a tipping point and we all collectively decide that we require more than what's presented to us through social media. I'm hopeful that I'll get there, but I think yeah, like it becomes increasingly difficult, I think, to have a community in some ways, and that's not true of how everybody uses social media or the internet. But I do think that like uh, one of the things that we've lost and one of the reasons that we're here is that we don't have sort of extended families the way we once did. We don't have communities around us always, and I think that we lose sight of what it means to share the human experience with everybody in the world instead of seeing caricatures of them online and assuming that there are more differences than similarities.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it's kind of it's like a paradox because of social media. Do you think social media has made loneliness easier to confess or harder to escape? Because you were talking
Mm.
about that. What do you think? It is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't it's so there's so much noise, and I struggle a bit with I think like some of the, I don't know, like emotional lessons people seem to have internalized via the internet over the past 5-10 years. I think that like a lot of even what we've internalized as constructive isn't. And I think um that the way that intense thought and engagement with art or with people or with difficult subject matter, with things that challenge us, I think we've lost a lot of that. And I think that it might not be loneliness in a literal sense, but I think that we all feel increasingly disconnected from the things that make us human as we allow. And it's not just social media. It's the fact of the ways that social media become a means for the powerful to influence the less powerful. And I think in that sense, we're constantly being told that what defines us are commodities, and that there's always around the bend a thing that will make you happier or more fulfilled. And I think that distracts us from what ultimately gives us fulfillment, and that's embracing each other and conversation and art and the woods, the outside world, different things, all manner of stuff that can't be sold in the same way. And I think we get isolated from that, and I think that makes all of us feel intensely lonely, even if we're constantly interacting.
True. I mean, speaking of connection, maybe do you believe that we've mistaken constant communication with a real connection? Is that what you meant?
I think that's part of it. I think that like uh we've you know, I'm speaking in like very broad terms, and I don't mean to like say that this is universal to everyone's experience, but I think that there is like a collective effect on all of us to have that be our primary source of interaction. And uh I don't know, I'm not sure that I'm answering your question. Now you've got me awash in thoughts, because I could go in 800 different directions. But yeah, I don't know. I think that um, we just like, I have lost track, I think, a little bit, or maybe I'm only speaking about myself and this is more confessional than anything, but I think we've lost track a little bit of what really gives value to our lives and to the brief period of time in which we exist on Earth, you know? And I think that I am more cognizant than ever of how I lack those things when I don't seek them out, because it's so easy to be distracted and to um, communicate on. I think the connections are good in the way that we are capable of sharing information and sharing art with each other. I think that's fantastic. I think it's more about uh, how we are able to interact with those things.
That's true. I mean, I think we lost the magic of the touch of the connection.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
let's go with the act two.
sure.
I called it faith and love, or maybe guilt and loss. I don't know. I have two titles for it. So in the in the record, what the record plays with religious imaginary, and I know there's an inspiration in the film First Reformed. Do you believe faith can still comfort people in times like this?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a person of faith myself. I grew up in the church, and actually the same branch of the Reformed Church that Paul Schrader, who wrote and directed First Reformed, did. He's originally from our city, the place where we're from in Michigan, which is kind of dominated by the Christian Reformed Church, which is an offshoot of the Dutch Reformed Church. And there are still a lot of, you know, people in my life, my parents in particular, who are really are guided by the faith that they have, not less in institutionalized Christianity, although they're churchgoers, and that's a big part of their life is having that community, having that, the sensation of touch, to be in a room with people and have conversations and people who will look out for you. I think there's great value to communities of faith in that respect, but really guided by uh, the moral compass instilled on them by a love of the teachings of Jesus, and that while I don't share that belief, I see how much that informs their kindness, and I think it's easy to cast aspersions on the Christian church in particular because of the powerful influence it has for uh, moving dramatically backwards and marginalizing and internalizing the wrong lessons, and the influence it has on the government that I live under, that slides every day closer to full-on fascism. So like there's a lot of negativity historically and now enacted on the populace in the name of religion. But I think that on the ground level, there are still really powerful communities and neighborhoods across the entire globe that are who they are, and compassionate, and do the outreach instilled scripturally by whichever religion they subscribe to. I think faith can be really powerful. I think that some people find faith to make sense of. I think everybody looks to faith to make sense of the lack of control they have in some ways. I think some people find the wrong one, or choose to believe in one that makes them feel superior to somebody else, and I think that's a massive problem. But yeah.
Okay, so moving from faith to love, which is another line in the album. Do
Mhm.
you think it's easier to express on stage or a song than in real life? I mean, or love.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think that one of the things that I learned making this record was how little I engage with the complicated aspects of my life in my everyday, and how much I've used writing lyrics for songs as a means to communicate how I am emotionally, and the way I feel towards the people in my life, or the way I feel towards myself. And I think in the studio, especially, when you're writing a song, you're very like lost in the process of writing, and you're not thinking a ton about what it means to you on an emotional level. But when you go to record it and really embody what you're speaking on, you feel that. And I think that one of the things I took away from this process was how much growth I have yet to do to do that more in my life, and to really instill the love I feel for the people in my life openly to them.
Okay. Let's move to act number 3, the last one. I call it Control, Chaos, and Technology. So in this album, No One Was Driving the Car. It suggests loss of control. I mean, speaking of the Tesla accident, and you've mentioned before, when did you realize how fragile control is? Because after all, we're delegating our life.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the reason this record came to be when it did was internal conversations with myself about that very thing. I think as somebody who's been more or less politically active his entire adult life, well, dating back to when I was a high school student, spray painting anti-Bush shit around town, like uh, I've understood, I think, for a long time in a lot of ways how little control we might have, and how much control the powerful do, and but I think I felt it particularly in the COVID years, and what's transpired after. And it's become impossible to ignore, even throughout the course of a single day. It's just there's so much visible disparity. There's increasingly less in the lives of the people on the ground level in their realm of control, and more in the hands of the people who benefit from dividing or distracting, and you know, that I think is ultimately what I was processing when we started writing this record, and am still processing now as things have gotten dramatically worse even in the month since the record's been out.
Okay, and speaking about delegating ourselves into technology, do you think that the more we hand over technology, the less human we become?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think about it. I can only speak definitively from my own experience, but I'm struck more and more by how much you like how much you're influenced by the way that information is communicated, and who controls the means of communication, and what we sacrifice when we cede control of our wants and desires to people with a vested interest in them financially. And I think another part of this record is how we sort of just collectively accepted new technology into our lives under the assumption it was benevolent, or that innovation improves quality. And how much I have lost with the things that I interact with, the art I love, and I think I lost a sense of who I am in that process. And um, when everything that you experience is a commodity being sold to you, or an idea being propagandized, then you really like lose abilities to think critically, or pursue the things that again give you like real value. And I'm trying to figure out how to restore that balance again, while not like being a Luddite and getting rid of my phone, you know, because it's hard to like not participate. Yeah.
Okay, so and this will be the last question, but I want to know, where does that leave art? I mean, is art the last you know, the last human thing we have?
I mean, I think that to veer towards a note of positivity, because I think I sound sometimes like I'm overwhelmed with hopelessness, but I don't feel that way, because I think every reaction has an opposite reaction. And I'm encouraged by the fact that people still spend hours picking apart records we've released, and I'm encouraged by the way that cinema seems to have changed for the better for the first time in a long time, after, you know, I think people felt so saturated by mindless superhero films, which is not to say they don't provide value in a way. I think that entertainment is important, but I think that um that like for me, the way that I engage with the difficult aspects of my life, the way I have conversations about what it means to be human and to experience existence, are through art, and through seeing another person interrogate that same question. And I think people want it, and I think people need it. And I'm hopeful that like part of defying the direction we're heading and pushing back against authoritarianism and violence is by making art. And I think that people will always do that. I think it's human nature to do so, to try to figure things out in that way, or to just make beautiful things.
Okay, well, that was a nice close, a nice close. I just wanted to ask you one last thing. This is pretty easy and soft. Um, any shout outs to any bands to update our playlist?
Oh man, there's a band from California that I really love called Agriculture,
Okay.
and they just released a record called The Spiritual Sound. It's I think broad category. I would say that they're a
Yeah.
black metal band, but it's quite a bit more than that. And I think that they take a very interesting and powerful approach to their version of black metal that really resonates to me, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Well, that's great. That's a great recommendation. Well, Jordan, thank you very much. I
Of
appreciate the
course.
time. It's been great. I hope you the best, and
Thank you.
take good care.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. It was a really fun conversation.
Well, thank you very much.
We'll talk to you again someday. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.